This is the video podcast series, Ray Charles Genius.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Charles.
My name is Steve Turre, and I play trombone and I play seashells.
Like many young musicians, Steve Turre began playing Ray's music in high school.
All the kids, we could all play what I'd say, you know, it was a groove that it was accessible, and yet it had substance.
Steve Turre's first touring gig was with Ray's big band.
I tried out, I didn't have bass trombone, but he liked the feeling that I played with. He wanted me, she said, well, can't you get on with a trigger? I said, yeah. So I got one and I played bass trombone in his band.
Steve stayed with Ray's big band for just over a year, but his brother Peter was Ray's drummer for much, much longer. One of just a handful of drummers who lasted.
I was with Ray when one week he went through 7 drummers.
Ray didn't play. It's like if you played a bad note on stage, I've seen him tell guitar players, unplug, man, I don't want to hear you play in the rest of the night. And after that's done, you better believe that they remembered what they did wrong, and they never did it again.
My little Maud, yeah. I'm always thinking of you, Maud, yeah. I'll tell the world I love you so.
What was so amazing, he could hear everybody simultaneously. He would hear what the trumpet players are doing to what the soprano was singing over here, everybody at the same time, and he could point out what was wrong. Just boom, 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 but his mind was going 1,000 miles an hour. So I used to love to watch him at rehearsals because I'm like, my gosh, how could he know that they did that and they did this and they did this? And
I used to watch him because you got to watch his body language and his foot and his head. He'd do his cutoffs like this, you know, and yeah, you had to watch Ray, but I memorized my parts and watched him anyway just because I got such a great feeling and a thrill and inspiration from just watching him sing and do his thing. He played the piano too, you know.
We were doing a gig in Birmingham, Alabama with the Birmingham Symphony with Sid Feller, and Sid Feller was conducting. Sid Feller was the arranger that did a lot of Ray's big hits. And Sid turned to me afterward and he said, I don't know how Ray does it. I don't know how he finds rhythm sections that can follow him. And Sid said as he's conducting the symphony that he just watched Ray's foot. And I mean, that's how you dealt with the time with Ray.
He loved Count Basie and Duke Ellington also, so he kept that kind of a groove in his music as he added the big band sound to it. That was a big thing. I was with him at the transition from the small band to the big band.
Ray hired very young musicians, oftentimes in the rhythm section. They weren't seasoned guys because, frankly, the gig didn't pay enough to get, you know, really A-list players. So what Ray had created were these very specific drum parts where literally every note that you played was written on the part and you had to play it the same way every night. That was a huge challenge to do that, but at least he heard what he wanted to hear.
He'd do Georgia every night. If he didn't, people would be upset, you know. And we'd start the arrangement out. And the arrangement would be the same every night. But he would always come in a little different place, and you'd have to wait, and we'd be playing along. And then finally, whenever he felt the moment was right, he'd say, Georgia, and everybody in the audience, ah! You know? But you never knew when it was coming. It was always fresh. It was always in the moment.
if he sensed that you were going through something, it was amazing how he would sense that and change the order of the songs where you would think he was telling you it's going to be all right. Like, I know we're gonna make it. It wasn't even on the list, but he changed it. And he would do that all the time. And countless times people in the band would say, wow, you know, I was going through such and such and such, and I think Ray felt it because he was talking to me through his choices.
Got a taste of that feeling, you know, that's what Ray's about. The whole thing's about feeling, and I love that. To me, that's what music is about, feeling. If you don't feel something and it's just all head cheese, well, to me, something's missing. I got to feel it. Like Ray said, you got to feel it, baby.
After all is said and done, there is really only one, and that's Margie.
This is Bret Primack, inviting you to join us again for the video podcast series, Ray Charles, Genius.
You know I'm gonna be with you always. Now I'm with you, Ray.